Hard not to get fired up after hearing those beats, huh?
I'm fired up, ready to go.
Shant, how are you, my friend?
Doing great. Honored to be here. Thanks for having me. I feel like
Yeah.
if I'm here, it means I finally made it in the mortgage business.
Yeah. Well, you know what? You and have become recent friends, acquaintances. I'm not sure if we're quite on the friend level yet, but I'm working my way towards it. But we met for the first time in person at the Housing Wire event, and it was great to see you and to realize that despite the fact you live in rarefied air, you're just a normal, everyday guy.
Well, I appreciate that. We're definitely. I would consider us on the way to being friends. I like the way. I like your approach to everything. You're the type of guy that I am friends with. So
All right.
I
Well, there you go.
I appreciate all the stuff you're doing for our industry.
So you work at Rate, formerly
Yes.
known as Guaranteed Rate.
Yep.
You're the executive vice president of sales, and you've been there for a little over 17 years. Your business alone, just the numbers you're going to accomplish in 2024 are more than most companies. We were just talking about the fact that you're going to be just south, a couple of $1 million south of $1 billion in production.
Yes.
That's incredible, first of all. And
Thank you.
I want people to walk away from this conversation inspired, believing that anything is possible. And I've seen you speak a couple of times now and marvel at the fact that you're traveling to speak on stages. You're pouring so much back into mortgage. And, the first question is why? Why are you getting on planes and flying to Housing Wire's summit to get in front of people to tell them how to win, how to survive, and how to focus on the right things?
Yeah. This business has been really amazing to me. It's changed my life. And I think that when I first got started in the business, I was going to events like that, and it made me see the opportunity. I remember being at, not just being at events, being around people, right? Like I remember when I first got to Rate where I'm at now, and I was only doing $50 million in business a year, which I was like working my butt off. I thought I'd maxed myself out. I was doing everything I thought I could. And then I was all of a sudden in a room with people that were doing double, triple, and quadruple that business. And I just realized they were like normal, everyday people just working more efficiently, had better ideas, and were able to execute better than I was at that time. So I've been at events. I've been around people that have inspired me and helped me. I certainly didn't figure out this business on my own. I've just kind of taken what I've learned from a bunch of different people and applied it to my business to keep it authentic to myself. And I think it's an amazing business. And I also realized the fact that, the last like 4 or 5 years, even like, as great as 2020 and 2021 they were hard, right? And the last few years were also difficult. And I feel like I've figured out a way to navigate through all of that. And I just want to share that with other people. I do there's a part of me that's very much fulfilled by inspiring and motivating others and giving back. And I think that's important to me. It wouldn't be just enough for me to sit back here and do loans all day long. Like as much as I enjoy that, it's great. There's a part of me that like keeps me going, keeps me, it forces me to be better. And I just enjoy it. So I like meeting people, the first probably 10 years of the business, maybe even arguably like 15 years of my career, I really didn't care about like networking within our industry. It wasn't important to me. The biggest thing was just like really kind of figuring it out and having success and just being super laser focused on what I was doing. Over the last 4 or 5, 6 years, it's become more important to me to learn from others, figure out what I'm missing, figure out how I can get better, and just surround myself with the right people. And I found that those events also help me do that.
So you're going to do what, 1,500 loans this year, something like that?
Yeah, just a little bit like between 14 and 1,500 loans when it's all said and done. Yep.
What's it take to get that kind of volume done as far as a team? I know it's not just you on the
No.
phones doing LOA work. I'm sure you've got quite an amazing team and a supportive culture where you work too, which, that's important, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Certainly, it's all of that, right? It takes an extreme amount of hard work. It takes, it's funny. I think you had posted on your LinkedIn about like, the top loan originators in the IMB space, I believe it was.
Yeah, that's right.
And, and all the trolls come out, right? About like there's no way one person could do that on their own. And like certainly like I don't pretend like I'm just doing this by myself, right? Like I have an amazing team. Certainly every single time I've hit a ceiling in my business, I've kind of looked at like why are we at the ceiling and where can we bring people on to grow. So I've got but I will say this, like that my production is not a bunch of like loan originators that I've collected that are rolling their businesses up underneath mine. It's truly the Shant Banosian team that is like going out and offering value to our partners, our clients. So it's my business development, my marketing, my branding efforts, as well as our execution. So we've got a team of just about 25 people. So to your point, and that includes administrative staff, marketing staff, business development staff, sales support, sales staff, all that stuff, operations, of course. So we run a very efficient operation, which is very important to me. We want to maintain profitability. We want to maintain, we want everybody to be busy, especially in the face of what happened over the course of the last couple of years. But to your point, like think about most companies or divisions or regions or whatever you want to call it in the mortgage business that do the kind of business we do. And, if you add up the headcount that goes into doing that kind of volume, it's much more than what we have going on here.
Oh yeah, no, congratulations. It's extraordinary. Let's break it down because there's only one Shant out there, right? There's you and you'll do $1 billion this year, and then the next closest person I think is 600 million or something like that. So you're so far ahead of everyone else, but you're not representative of the population, right? So some people that are watching this just want to figure out how to get their feet beneath them. Some
Yeah.
of them are wondering at this point in time, is this even a business that has longevity? Maybe they feel like rates are too high, or the NAR settlement has diluted the opportunities. But your approach is so invigorating and inspiring when it comes to things like that. Do folks make the business more complicated than it needs to be?
Absolutely. If you saw me speak at Housing Wire, I talked about how, I don't get super focused on the things that I can't control. Like, I said something which I truly believe, like, I don't live in an interest rate economy, right? Like, I don't live in an inventory economy. I live in an activities, action, and execution economy, right? Like, the reason for my success is because of my discipline, my commitment, my consistency. And what I mean by that is like, if you take this year, right? Whereas like, we did $1 billion, which, this is one of the, I've had a lot of really great years in this business, and I'm very proud of my entire career and my team and what we've accomplished. But, if I take this year, super proud of what we accomplished. If you look at the interest rate environment was like, call it between 6, 7, and 8%. If you look at over the course of the last 12 to 18 months, the home sales, I think we're at all-time low levels, right? In terms of actual transaction of real estate. Certainly we didn't make the year happen with refinances. When it's all said and done, we'll be about 90% purchase volume, right? And but if I look back at like, maybe the last time I did close to $1 billion, or even if I go back to like the years like 2016 and 17, when I was doing 300 million, 400 million, $500 million in business, right? Like there was 5 million homes being sold. Rates were in the 2s, 3s, and 4s, right? Totally different environment. So we did what we did this year because of like how just all in we went in on our business. But the reason that I'm successful, I don't have this like, the secret sauce that like we figure out this way to go out and get business that like is impossible to do, or this technology that we're using, or this method that nobody else has. It's like, very much, we're going out, working with real estate partners, showing them value, staying in touch with our database, marketing on social media and email, and just doing it at a super high level every single day, and while offering really great service, while really knowing what we're talking about. So it's very much like very simple. Yes. Do we work hard every single day? 100%. Are we super efficient? Yes. But like, it's really all those things. And then really, in my opinion, my biggest asset and differentiator is my mindset, right? Like I see opportunity in every single market. I think that you brought up the NAR settlement, for example. To me, how I've chosen to see that is that it makes us way more important to the real estate agents than we've ever been, to be honest with you, because they need help structuring deals. They need help understanding the options out there. So like, and I hope that they decide they're going to work with the people that are going to best support their business, as opposed to just being willing to work with anybody like maybe they had in the past. So like, the harder the market gets, the more challenging it gets, I've decided that those things make me way more important in the business. How I advise, how I nurture my clients and my partners becomes more important. So I have to be better.
Man, what an answer. Are you still going after new agents?
Oh yeah, every single day. Yeah,
So
like
what's that like? When you're
so
going after a new agent, other than the reputation, right, that you already have as a guy that can get it done, like what is the approach that can give some people some light on maybe a methodology to pick up more business?
yeah, it's about two things. I mean, so obviously people are going to work with people they like, respect, and trust, right? Like that's human nature, right? In any business. But at the end of the day, when I'm sitting down with somebody, I'm not really talking to them about, I'm not really talking to them about like all the boring stuff that everybody else wants to talk about. Like, so many loan officers think they need to go into a meeting with an agent and talk about products and price and rates and all that kind of stuff. And then you just become like everybody else and talk about boring. I lead with my entire approach is I educate, like I educate. I want them. I don't want to be just like a vendor. I want to be a partner, coach, or a mentor. Right. So like I want to educate them in terms of what's going on in the market. I want to educate them with how to win in this market. Because keep in mind, rates have been really high. Inventory has been very low. Not only is it expensive, but it's also hard to get your offer accepted because there's a ton of competition out there. Right. So with agents, I'm like, how can I help you grow your business? How can I help you to figure out all the different things that somebody can do to win in this business? And then I inform. So I believe that education attracts the right kind of partners, right? And I believe that information motivates. And so if I can be the guy to my partners, my clients, that like if they send me their clients, they know their clients are going to be fully educated, fully prepared in terms of all the different tools, things they need to do when in this market, and I can inform them into action instead of just people that are sitting on the sideline. I can help them convert their clients at a higher level. Their business thrives, right? So like
Yeah.
in that conversation, I'm not talking about all the boring stuff. So my entire approach is how one of our little our not our
One
lit
of your
our
slogans?
whole things. Win together is what we're all about, and what that means is like I only win if my clients and my partners win, right? So like they know that comes first. My clients win and my partners win, we win, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah. So you mentioned educate.
Yeah,
So that's a big word, and
yeah,
it's a particularly important word as we watch social media evolve, right? Because
totally,
I'm finding anyway, and I want your opinion, we're getting to the consumers much earlier on in the funnel. And this is not what we're accustomed to, right? We're accustomed to having metrics. Hey, we're going to bring in 100 leads, we can execute. But now it's not like that because you're getting to people so much earlier. You've got to have an answer to meeting them where they are and
totally.
putting stuff in front of them that's germane, relevant, that makes them never lose connection to you, whether it takes 4 months, a year, or 2 years. First of all, do you see that too? And what's your approach?
Yeah, so I totally see it. I will tell you, obviously we do a lot of content on social media, and we try to stretch that content, marketing to our database. Um, the feedback that I've gotten from my clients, both existing clients that we've already done business with in some form or fashion, or new clients, is like I'm blown away by the amount of people that are introduced to me by real estate partners, or more often than not, or some other advisor that say to me, "I know who you are. I've been watching your content for a while now," right? Because people are interested in, housing is something that's important to almost everybody, right? It's something that's like there's appeal, there's a way to create wealth. There's all the real estate shows out there, right? Like all that stuff. Like people are interested, and so we've tried to post content, on a daily basis. Going back I really stepped up my social media content. Just about like I really started going in 2019, but in 2020 when the pandemic happened and everybody got pushed home and was wondering what was going on and didn't understand all the ramifications, everything going is I really went all in at that point, and I've obviously changed my approach as the social media platforms change and the way consumers I remember when I first started doing content in 2020, I was doing like 15 to 30-minute videos, right? But people were watching that stuff because they were home and they had nothing to do. Now, I don't think that would do so well. But anyways, I just try to pay attention. Like I consider myself, a pro when it comes to mortgage. Like I truly, like, I'm like, what do I need to know? So I'm studying on a daily basis what's going on in housing, what's going on in mortgage, what consumers are saying, like I read all those surveys, I pay attention to all the stuff that's get posted, because you can kind of tell what people are interested in this time right now. And then I try to explain it in a very simple way to communicate. Like I did a video the other day about inflation, right? Because people I find that a lot of people don't know what it's all about, right? I tried to explain it in a way in which like an 8th or 10th grader could understand it. Not because I find that if you're able to explain it to people in a very, very simple way, not only will they understand it, but they'll also be able to explain it to somebody else, and they'll remain interested, and you'll be able to grab their attention. So I believe that like our audience is more important than ever. Our influence is more important than ever. And it's easier actually to stay in front of a lot of eyeballs than ever before. I know you do a ton of great content on social media, and it's amazing the amount of people when you post like relevant content that might be interesting to somebody, like how many people it can get in front of. And like when I tell everybody that will listen, when I post a 2 or 3 minute video, it doesn't just take me 2 or 3 minutes. Like I have to spend some time researching what I want to talk about. I take some notes. I might record it a few times, right, and then post it. But what's amazing is that video generally gets watched like anywhere from 2,000 to 7,000 times on average, and it like usually there's like 24 to 36 hours of watch time, right, which is amazing. Like it's working even when I'm not working, and then I can also email it out to my database. It's really powerful stuff. So
Are you
like
getting business from that, you think? Are you like, can you quantify that you're getting business?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? Here's what I'd say. I get some direct to consumer business, right? Not as much as I'd like to yet. However, still kind of working on that. But yeah, like what it does is when people, like I'll tell you every single time I get on the phone with a real estate agent, they know who I am in my market, right?
Yeah.
So like I don't get like, I have immediate like respect and trust from a lot of people when I get on the phone. And then it allows me to get into rooms. Like, part of what I do in terms of getting business is like I'm going into real estate offices quite a bit, and into real estate teams. And like, right after we get off the phone with you, I'm jumping on the phone with a real estate team where I do like a bi-monthly call with their team every single month, and just kind of tell them what I'm seeing in the marketplace, what's going on. So I do a lot of that, and it gets me into those type of situations where I'm presenting in front of offices, teams, companies. It's been really amazing just by knowing my stuff.
So give us the cliff notes of this call you're about to jump on.
Yeah.
What is your focus today going to be?
So I'm going to let them know, the big thing this week is like the Fed meeting, right? So, a lot of their clients are going to see, hopefully that the Fed cuts rates by 0.25%. And immediately they're all going to think that like, hey, that should mean that rates are coming down. So I'm going to kind of give them an idea of like why I don't think actually rates will probably come down as a result of this Fed rate cut. I'm going to give them some kind of talking points on why, inflation data hasn't really been helping us, and why it won't help us over the course of the next 2 months. And then we're going to talk into like, there's a couple new different products, things we're going to talk about that we've just rolled out that I'm going to share with them. So it's a 15-minute call, and then I answer their questions, right? But this is something that I've been doing with these guys for 2 years. So like, it's not like me meeting them from scratch, right? And it's also like, what it does for me too is like, it makes sure, that I don't take my foot off the gas during this time of year. Like how many people are like, you reach out to people and like, oh, let's catch up next year. Like, I don't want to catch up next year. I want to catch up right now. Like I want to stay top of mind.
How many hours are you working a week usually?
I would say I'm in the office at 8:00 almost religiously. And I'm out of here by like 5:30.
That's pretty decent. You're a girl dad. You've got 3 girls, right? You said girls everywhere. I know you want to be there for them.
Totally. Most important thing in my life.
Yeah. So how does a guy that does $1 billion a year have balance? Is there such a thing?
No, there's no such thing as balance. Like I think I've done a really good job of, I think if you want to be super, super successful, like you've got to figure out a time in your life where you can totally be unbalanced, right? In order to attain more, like I've got way more balance today. I would honestly tell you that doing $1 billion this year, I've worked much less than when I was doing $200 and $300 and $400 million 7 or 8 years ago. I generally don't work. Like I'm not on at night. I'm not on the weekends, right? But I've invested a lot of money in team members and spent money on, paying for people and training and coaching those people to cover for me. And we have, shifts and coverage and all that kind of stuff. So like my team's on, even though I'm not on.
Got it. You mentioned a few minutes ago, you're giving me so many good nuggets. I'm going to take this call, this edition at least 10 more minutes. So we're going to stretch out the
Cool.
confines of what we normally do at the very least, because there's so much. I'm hearing things and I want to follow up. One thing you said was sort of around this consumer sentiment thing. Like you have your hand on the pulse of what potential home buyers are thinking. So what are you seeing right now? What do you feel like the sentiment is out on the street for people that would love to be able to own a home? First
So
time home
this,
buyers. We'll focus on
yeah.
that.
So, so here's what we've been working on. So like one of the big things that's helped us out, especially over the course of the last couple of months, is like, a lot of times because the market's been so challenging, because it was, I work in generally super competitive markets where there's multiple offer situations. So a lot of people just kind of got it out of the market for the last couple of years. And then on top of that, home prices have gone up. So a lot of times people will just be licking their wounds and like ultimately just be like, I'm going to put it off till next year. Where we had a lot of success over the course of the last 2 to 3 months is like, we let everybody know, like, this is when you actually want to be a buyer, right? Like this is, and we really coach people through like why remaining a buyer in September, October, November, December, and January, especially November, December, and January, is much better because it increases the odds of having your offer accepted. You're competing against less people. There's more inventory on the market. You're more likely to get especially first-time home buyers. You're more likely, the thought of being a first-time home buyer, having a bid way over asking price, waive all your contingencies, and compete against 15 other people, super overwhelming. Whereas like my clients that are actually in the market over the course of the last 2 or 3 months, they're winning. Like we had a huge accepted offer week last week, but what we did is we posted a ton of content and sent out a ton of email. And then when we were having our consults over the phone, we were literally making sure that like they knew that like actually contrary to belief, like this is when you should actually be in the market if you want to win in the housing market, right?
Yeah, especially
And
with
then
it getting cold out here soon.
yeah, yeah. So like, so that was a big part of it. We were really kind of super into all the, like we really doubled down on all our first time home buyer programs, the down payment assistance, grant programs, like all the different kind of things that are out there that people don't know about. One of the surveys I read that was posted a few months ago was like how like it was a huge number of people. I'm forgetting the percentage, but like over 50-something% of all first time home buyers didn't even know any of those type of products existed. So like, I took that, I was like, all right, well, that's what our target market's saying. How can we make sure we're the ones yelling and screaming that you have these kind of tools available?
Yeah.
So one of the things, and we're big into events and like, we're having a huge event to kick off the year. I have 1,200 realtors coming to an event on January 16th that I'm doing. That is all about like when I talk about educate and inform, like we have 3 speakers coming. And it's like, you're looking and somebody might be listening to this. You're like, holy cow, I can't do a 1,200 person event. But like I started out with 10-person events and then 20 person and then 100 and then 200. And then the first time we did this kind of event was like 500 people showed up. Last year, 1,000. It's my 3rd time we have 1,200 people. So my whole point is like, if you add value to people, whether it's clients or realtor partners, like they will want to do business with you. You will attract the right kind of partners and you will work your butt off for them. Because, you work with people you like.
Do you ever get discouraged? Like what bothers you about this business?
I mean, of course, like, I'm human, right? Like, so like, but I try to immediately, like, seriously, like yes, of course I get tired and all that kind of stuff. One, I've done a lot of things in order to make sure that my energy levels are like as high as possibly, especially as I've gotten a little bit older, like I've realized like as I've gotten more mature that like how my energy is and the kind of content that I'm putting into my brain is way more important. So like, do I get discouraged? Yeah, I'm sure. Just like I have those kind of thoughts, but like I spend a lot of time making sure that like I feel great. I'm reading the right kind of content. I'm listening to the right kind of content. I'm surrounding myself with the right type of people. And I find that if I do that, I'm just focused on opportunity and the right perspective as opposed to the other way around. Because I find that once your mindset goes, it's over for you in any type of business.
Well, you've talked a lot about reading. You've talked a lot about content, who you listen to. So give us 3 names that, 3 names, 3 podcasts, 3 publications, whatever, or 1 or 2. Tell us what we need to be listening to.
Yeah, I love Ed Milet. Super, super positive. His podcast, like one of the best ones that I've kind of come across in the last 4 years. I just love his positivity, and I love the level of people he brings onto his podcast. They're like super inspiring people.
Is that all housing related, or is it
no?
mixed?
Ed Milet, nothing to do with housing.
Good,
Nothing to do with housing at all. It's about being inspired, motivated, and realizing that the most successful people in the world have gotten through the most challenging of times. and like they've actually had it the hardest. Most people believe that when they look at like somebody that's successful, so maybe looking at me, they either make up the reasons as to why I'm doing the kind of business I'm doing, or come up with this like fake character that I'm like probably this like person that's like only works and has a horrible life outside of here, right? Whereas it's like I've had my challenges and I've gone through stuff over the course of years, but like I've got a really great life. Like I've got a beautiful wife and 3 kids and great friends, and I have great balance. Ed Milet's a big one. Alex Hormozy, I love Alex Hormozy's podcast. He's helped me just come up with ways in terms of marketing and branding in my business. And then in terms of things that I like Ryan Holiday, like very good. And then one of the best books I've read. Everybody's looking for if you're looking for a book for the new year, give yourself a gift. Read this book, The Gap in the Game. One of the best books in terms of like it says a high achiever's guide to happiness, confidence, and success. It's a great book. It's like one I've probably gifted to people more over the course of the last couple of years than any other book.
Man, so valuable. So you're in the Boston area. You're a huge Boston sports fan.
Huge.
So what was more what's more painful to relive? Bill Buckner letting that ground ball go through his leg, or David Tyree catching that Super Bowl winning catch from Eli Manning on his helmet?
Yeah, definitely the Tyree thing. I was only 6 years old when Buckner did that. So like I didn't, Buckner was like this mythical figure, and I've had a pretty good run with the Red Sox. So we won some World Series in my time. With Dave Tyree was, I was I've been to a bunch of Super Bowls, huge Tom Brady, Belichick, the whole organization, what they built. It's actually been something that was cool for me as I was doing my career to have kind of watch and try to emulate some of the things they were doing on obviously in my business. But that was painful, man. I never thought that we would not win that game.
I was going to ask, when you say emulate, does that mean you put one of those helmets on behind you and start running through walls? I see 2 helmets, so I didn't know.
I feel like I've done that a couple times in this business.
Well, you have to. We're all hard-headed to be in this business. The first question I asked you when I met you 6 months ago at Housing Wire, do you remember what it was? It had to do with the Patriots.
It did. You said, was it Brady or Belichick? And I said, Brady. The players are the ones that play the games, man. Like, the coaches, Bill Belichick, somebody got a ton of respect for, but like ultimately the people on the field are the ones doing it, right? And like same thing, like if that applies to loan officers, like you could have, you can come up with all the reasons as to why your leadership team or your whatever. You can come up with a million reasons as to why you don't have what you need to do to be successful. I'm pretty confident that like I would have been successful no matter where I worked, and I love the place I'm at right now, but like ultimately it's like on me. And so the players play the game.
Well, a lot of people look at here's the company, here's their vision, here all these things that are missing. You don't have the products, the rates aren't low. That's all just a bunch of noise, isn't it? For the most part. I mean, there's some companies that aren't run well, but
of course, yeah. I just mean your success is internal, not external, and I truly mean that. Like, your success both personally and professionally. Like you got to look inward first before you can start. And if you're really doing all the things internally, like that you're supposed to be doing both like professionally, like if you have like your perfect day of execution over and over and over again, and both personally and professionally, then you can start looking at external factors. But until you got your house buttoned up, like it's not the external stuff.
Yeah. Clean your side of the street before you start looking at others. I know you got to jump in a minute, but I want to go back to coaching because I love sports just like you.
Yeah,
follow the Patriots really closely because my wife, of course, was in love with Tom Brady, probably still is. But I think you learn a lot by watching how coaches coach, right? You've got the top-down guys, you've got the ones that lead with love, and both work. I mean, you look even in mortgage coaching, you look at a Rick Ruby and his hard style versus someone else who's got a lighter style. What are your thoughts on the various on those two coaching styles, like leading with love or leading with the iron fist?
I'm more with like the, I'm. It's a good question. I think it's got to to each like everybody's so different, right?
Yeah.
Like there's some people some people at a certain point of their life need the iron fist, and other people need love. Like so, like it's a very personal question. Like in terms of you kind of got to know your audience, and you got to coach them the way to get the best out of them. So like, I'm not positive that like, being a hammer to every single person is going to get the most out of them all the time, right?
Yeah, I
Like that
agree
could
with you. It
actually,
depends on who's on the other end, who's on the receiving end.
yeah, like I'm a massive, I believe coaching's great. Like I have coaches in terms of like my whole life, whether it's a financial coach, a personal trainer, I've been coached in the business world. I've been like business coaching, leadership coaching. Like I invest in that book I just told you about. Like I go to a course called Strategic Coach. Like I'm constantly investing in ways to just get better and move myself forward and have growth. So you should always be coached because like it's a way for you to just kind of figure out what you're doing right, self-evaluate and figure out what you want to be doing to move forward. So, but I don't know
All
that
right.
there's one better than the other.
All right. So we have 60 seconds left. I know that you've got this meeting. I'm sure your team is very aware that you're running a minute late and has already let the other people know. So you're on stage right now, right? This is the end. You always get ready for the crescendo. And while you're not prepared for this question, close this out. Tell us what we should be looking at, thinking about, in 2025 and beyond in this business.
Yeah, in terms of like the business is like, I believe 2025 is going to be very, very similar to 2024. There's obviously going to be ways we need to adapt and evolve every single year, but like, look at the things that you didn't do in 2024 that you need to implement right away in 2025. You're not going to get a second chance at it, right? Like, the past is the past, but you can obviously like look at inward again. What are the things that you need to be disciplined at? Make sure, are you really committed to these things? Like figure out what 3 things you can implement, 3 things you can eliminate from your business going into next year. And then just realize like your leadership matters more than ever. Like, I talked about audience and influence earlier. I do believe that I'm an industry leader. And so I try to lead 3 different types of people: my clients, right? The consumers that are actually trying to buy houses, and figure out what their obstacles and challenges are. I talk a lot about affordability and inventory. And so we try to lead our whole practice with our clients in terms of like how they can help solve for those things. With our partners, generally speaking, they're real estate partners, although we work with other like financial professionals as well, but mostly real estate partners. Like how can we help coach them and navigate the new world they're in, whether it's through the NAR settlement and whatnot. And then our teams have gone through a lot. Like make sure that, again, we staffed up in 2020 and 2021, then pulled back, and the last couple of years, rates remain elevated. They might be wondering, like, what's going on? How are these technology initiatives going to impact us? Like, make sure you're connecting with them, communicating your vision, and then just like checking in with everybody. So your leadership matters more than ever. Victims make excuses, leaders execute and take action. So make sure you're executing and taking action. But don't use the holidays as a reason to kind of like obviously enjoy them with your families, but don't put your business on hold for the next 3 to 4 weeks. Use this little bit of slowdown to do a big time self-evaluation in terms of yourself, personally and professionally, and then on your business deep dive in terms of the things that you need to be doing and that you're actually putting some sort of accountability metrics in play. Make sure you know what your perfect day of execution looks like and do it over and over and over again for 365 days next year.
Well, can't thank you enough for your time. This has been well attended. We've had several hundred people on here, and we'll have thousands that watch. We've got a lot of comments. Shant Banosian.
Nailed it.
Did I pronounce that right?
Yeah.
Look, we have the same problem. I called you Shant. You're like, hey, by the way, it's Shant, not Shant.
Well,
but my last name's Sher. I pronounce it Sher. Everyone says Sher. So I mean, how many times have you corrected someone on your name? It has to be in the tens of thousands.
I mean, my whole life. Every first day of school, or a lot of times, I get why it's my family probably should have thrown a U in there. I made it like a little bit easier, like Shant, with AUNT, but it didn't happen. So here we are. It's all good. There's not a lot of us running around out there, especially in the mortgage business. So it's a unique name. I like it. It's all good.
Well, look, you don't have to be on stages. You don't have to be sharing your gifts. You could be, because you are on your own at the very, very top. You could be the person that holds it all within. And the fact that you are so giving and so willing to share and inspire, I'm so grateful for you. I'm glad to know you now and hope that I can be on I'll know I get to the friend list when I get the Christmas card. So
there you go.
Yeah, between now and next November, I'm going to work on that. Okay, I want to get on that list.
Well, work on it. I appreciate what you're doing. I love this whole all of us mindset and that you have in terms of just trying to bring our industry together. Part of the reason I do what I do is for the same reasons that you're doing what you're doing. Like, I do believe that we're stronger together. I'm opening up my playbook and I answer questions for anybody that will ask. And I just think it just like we all rise up together, and there's something powerful in that. So
Yeah.
great job on what
Well,
you're doing. Thank you.
anything I can do to amplify your messages, I'm here for you, man. I really appreciate it. Enjoy your call with those real estate agents, and we will let you go now. See you later. Hang on though, as this thing downloads. According to Donna Chichevsky, my incredible producer on this, who also has a name challenge. You know, her name is Dana, which sounds
Yep.
like Dana, right? It's
Dana.
Dana all day long, right? Dana.
Yep.
Her name is actually Donna. So I mean, you think you and I have it tough. Hey, next week you'll want to tune in, Shant, because we have Jake and Dale Vermillion. We're
Oh,
starting
great
a
guys.
special series called Generations.
I love
So you've
that.
got a father, you've got a son, and every now and then we're going to highlight generations in the mortgage industry. I'm really excited to do that. We're going to have that next Monday. So have a great week. Going to say goodbye now. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
See ya.